Baba, please, try to understand. His family are Abuja people, old money, educated. If they see, I just need you to stay in Kano, just for the wedding. I will come and visit you after, I promise.
The line on the other end went quiet. She waited. She heard her father breathing. Then he said it, quietly, the way men like him say things that break them.
I hear you, my daughter.
3 months later, on the morning of his daughter's wedding in Lagos, Mallam Haruna was in Kano, driving his Keke. For 14 years, that man had sold, sacrificed, and starved so that one day his daughter could stand somewhere beautiful and be proud of who she had become. The day she finally stood there, he was not allowed to be in the room. He woke at 5. He tied his turban in the dark. He said his fajr and he went to work. His neighbors didn't know it was his daughter's wedding day. He never told them. He had not argued with her on the phone. He had not begged. He had not even spoken about it again. But the truth doesn't always stay where you put it. And what happened 8 months later, none of them were ready for. To understand it, we need to go back to the year her mother died. Fatima was 17. She was sitting her WAEC that same month. Mallam Haruna Salisu was 41 years old, with no savings, 1 Keke, and a daughter who was the only future he had chosen to believe in. The night they buried his wife, he sat outside the compound alone for a long time. He didn't ask for help. He didn't tell anyone what he was planning. He simply made a decision. His daughter would go to university, and then she would go further. He started the next morning. He saw the first Keke, the newer one, and bought an older one to cut his operating costs. He joined the local Adashi cooperative in his street and contributed every week without missing a single round. He ate once a day during lean months. Not dramatically, not a sacrifice, he announced. He just ate once and put the difference in a tin under his bed. When Fatima got her admission to Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, political science, first choice, he borrowed from 3 people to complete the first year fees. He told Fatima, "We managed." He didn't tell her about the borrowing. He didn't tell her about the tin. He didn't tell her about the Keke. She was a serious student. She didn't need to carry his weight on top of her own. 4 years passed. Fatima graduated with a second-class upper. Mallam Haruna wasn't at the ceremony. He couldn't afford the trip and the fees for the next step at the same time. She called him from Zaria that evening. He could hear the crowd behind her. He said, "Alhamdulillah, I'm proud of you." He said it the way men like him say it, quietly, without performance, in a way that meant everything and sounded like nothing. Then came the scholarship letter. Fatima had applied to 3 UK universities for a master's in international development. She got a partial scholarship. The fees were covered, but the living allowance gap was £3,200. £3,200. At the time, that was roughly 2 million naira. Mallam Haruna looked at the number on the paper she sent him. He looked at it for a while. Then he went to his tin. He counted what he had. He sold his late wife's gold jewelry, the set she had worn to their wedding, the one he had kept wrapped in a cloth at the bottom of his bag for 6 years. He borrowed the rest. He sent the money. He told Fatima, "Go, don't look back." She went, and she didn't look back. Not entirely. She called. She sent money when she could. She was a good daughter in many of the ways that matter. But something shifted in her over those years in the UK. She had built a new version of herself, educated, articulate, professionally confident, and that version didn't always know what to do with the image of her father on a Keke in Fage. She loved him, but she was afraid of what he represented in rooms she had worked so hard to enter. She met Kabir in London. He was a Nigerian engineer finishing a postgraduate program, Abuja family, university-educated parents, the kind of background that came with connections and expectations. They dated for 2 years. He was a good man, serious, attentive. He loved her in a way that felt like safety. When he proposed, she said yes before he finished the sentence. The wedding planning began. And it was somewhere in the middle of that planning, somewhere between the Asor AB fabric choices and the caterer's deposit, that the fear arrived. Kabir's mother came to visit from Abuja. She was warm, well-dressed, and full of questions about Fatima's family. "Your father, what does he do?" Fatima smiled. "He's in Kano. He's retired." The word felt wrong in her mouth. It wasn't a lie. It wasn't the truth either. It was a door she closed quietly, hoping no one would knock. 3 months before the wedding, she made the phone call you heard at the start of this story. The careful words, the reasons that almost sounded reasonable, the long silence before her father answered, and then him saying quietly, "I hear you, my daughter." She thought that was the worst of it. She didn't know what staying silent was costing him. He never told anyone what she asked. Not his brothers, not Alhaji Musa next door who had watched Fatima grow up, not the people in the cooperative who had contributed to her fees. He wrapped the gold bangle he had bought for her at Canteen Quarry Market. Real gold, chosen carefully, nothing extravagant, and put it on the shelf above his prayer mat. He went to work the next morning. The morning of her wedding, he went to work. 8 months after the wedding, a journalist named Zainab Musa was writing a feature. She worked for a Lagos digital magazine. The piece was about the Japa generation, specifically the parents left behind, the ones who built the ladder and watched their children climb it and waited at the bottom for a visit that sometimes came and sometimes didn't. A contact in Kano gave her Mallam Haruna's name. She drove to Fage on a Thursday morning. He agreed to talk. He sat across from her in the small parlor, a plastic chair, a ceiling fan, a framed ayah on the wall, and he spoke about his daughter, the way a man speaks about something he has decided to be proud of, no matter what it cost him. He said she had a good mind from small. He said she worked harder than anyone he had ever known. He said he was glad she had a good husband. Zainab asked if she could see a photo. He picked up his phone. There were 2 photos of Fatima on it. One was from her UK graduation. One was from her NYSC passing out parade in Abuja. The one time she had let him come. Haruna, standing beside her in his best kaftan, ironed twice that morning, smiling with his whole face. "Can I use this one?" Zainab asked. "Yes," he said. "That's my daughter." The article published on a Sunday. They drove them, they sacrificed for them, then they waited. Mallam Haruna's photo ran half a page. The old kaftan, the proud smile. Fatima in NYSC white beside him. By Monday afternoon, it had been shared 11,000 times. Kabir saw it on a Sunday morning. A colleague had sent it to him. "This reminds me of my own father." He read it quietly, alone in the study. He saw the photo. He recognized his wife's smile before he read the name. He read the piece from start to finish. Then he read it again. Before I tell you what Kabir did next, if you're new to Voclain Stories, take 1 second and subscribe, because what happens from here is the part you came for. Mallam Haruna never said Fatima had asked him to stay away. He was too dignified for that. But Kabir was not a slow man, his wife's father. This man, who clearly loved his daughter with everything he had not been at their wedding. He sat with that for 2 days. He didn't confront. He didn't assume. On the third day, he simply asked quietly over dinner, "Your father, why wasn't he at our wedding?" The silence that followed that question was the longest silence in their marriage. Then Fatima told him all of it, the phone call, the request, what her father had said, what she had done. She didn't cry dramatically. She just spoke the truth of it. The way you speak something you've been carrying for too long. Kabir didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't walk out. He stood up from the table. He walked to the window. He stood there for a while. Then he said, "I'm going to Kano." He drove himself. No driver. He got the address from Zainab's contact at the magazine. He didn't tell Fatima he was going until he was already on the road. It was a Wednesday afternoon when he pulled up on the street in Fage. Mallam Haruna was sitting outside on a low bench, the way old men sit, back straight, hands on his knees, watching the street with eyes that have seen enough to require no commentary. A car he didn't recognize stopped in front of the compound. A man he had never met stepped out. The man walked toward him and greeted him in Hausa. "Hi na kwana," he said. "Good afternoon." Then, in English, "I am Kabir, Fatima's husband." Mallam Haruna looked at him for a moment. Then he stood up. "Come inside," he said. They sat in the small parlor. Kabir refused the first offer of tea, then accepted the second, the way guests do when they want the host to know they are comfortable. They talked for a long time. Kabir told him, "You should have been at the wedding. I am sorry you weren't. I didn't know." Mallam Haruna looked at his son-in-law. He nodded, slowly. He didn't say it was fine, because it wasn't entirely fine, but he didn't hold it either. He had made his peace with it long before Kabir arrived. He simply said, "You are here now." 2 weeks later, Fatima and Kabir drove to Kano together, not for a ceremony, not for a public moment, just to sit, to eat the tuwo Mallam Haruna made himself, the same recipe his wife had taught him, the one he had made every Sunday for 30 years, to let him see his daughter in her husband's presence, to let him see that she was well. Before they left, Mallam Haruna went inside. He came back with a small wrapped package. He held it out to Kabir. "I bought this for her," he said. "When I heard she was getting married, I think it belongs to both of you now." Inside was the gold bangle, the one from Canteen Quarry, the one that had sat on the shelf above his prayer mat for 8 months. Kabir took it with both hands. Nobody made a speech. There was no dramatic moment of forgiveness or confrontation. Just a father, a daughter, and the man she had chosen, sitting together in a small compound in Fage on a quiet afternoon, finally in the same room. Some fathers don't ask for much, they just ask to be allowed to love you. And when you finally let them, the shame you felt about where you came from becomes the thing you'll be most ashamed of. What would you have done if you were Kabir and you found out what really happened? Tell me in the comments. If this story stayed with you, it will mean a lot if you subscribed. Every subscriber helps us tell more stories like this one. There is another story waiting for you on your screen right now. I think you will want to see it.